Intuitive eating is becoming an increasingly popular meme and way of eating. And I think there are some very important concepts within the principles of intuitive eating. And I want to go over all 10 principles today in this video. I'm Dr. Ken Berry, a family physician who used to suffer from morbid obesity and prediabetes. Let's talk about intuitive eating. The principles of intuitive eating were first put on paper way back in 1995 by two registered dietitians, Evelyn Tribole and Elise Reach. And I think there are some very important concepts and very many true statements within these 10 principles, but I think that there needs to be some words that they use defined, and I think that that'll help you greatly to understand and even benefit from the 10 principles of intuitive eating. Principle number 1 is to reject the diet mentality. I agree 100% with this. Do you get excited and antsy when you get your latest subscription to Cosmo or see a news story with a new diet trend? 99.9% of these fad diets, from the cabbage soup diet to the deal meal to all the latest things, the juice diet, all these things are fads. These are ways for people out there to accumulate a following and make a living off of your perceived bad health, overweight, or your actual bad health and overweight. You need to stop getting excited about these things. You need to stop looking for them, stop falling for them. None of these fad diets are ever going to work. You need to actually start to become angry when you see a new diet fad. Oh, the goji berry diet. That needs to piss you off, because you need to understand that there is a way of eating that will help you achieve your best health. There is a proper human diet. And I use the word diet not in the context of weight loss and a quick fix, but diet as in a lifelong way of eating. And that's how you've got to come to look at this. Your diet is a way of eating. And so you can use those two terms interchangeably, but the word diet has been hijacked by people who are trying to sell you a quick weight loss kit, or sell you a coaching program, or sell you just for clicks and eyeballs so they can make more ad dollars. You got to get mad about that, and you got to start ignoring that type of thing. Principle number 2 is honor your hunger. Again, I agree 100% with this statement, with the following caveats. First thing you got to do is you've got to separate hunger from cravings. These are two very different things. You also have to separate hunger from addiction. Sugar addiction, carbohydrate addiction are very, very real for some people. We should never discount this or make fun of these people. This is a real condition that copious amounts of research have shown that the pleasure centers in the brain light up when these people even think about sugar or a highly processed carbohydrate food. This is a physiological thing. So hunger in and of itself, if we're talking about true physiological hunger, is not a bad thing. If you feel hungry, you are not evil, you're not bad, you're not a loser, you're not guilty of anything. Hunger is good. Hunger is a normal thing that every mammal on the planet experiences when it needs not comfort, but when it needs nutrition. When your body needs amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, or minerals, you will experience that as hunger. And that's a good thing. Stop feeling guilty about that. No matter how long it takes you, no matter how much you have to practice, you cannot feel guilty about being hungry. Hunger is a good thing. It might take some time and some work for you to tease out the difference in your body between hunger and craving, or hunger and addiction. And when you do that, you can start to rebuild trust. You should trust your body, and you should trust your physiology not to mislead you with hunger. But until you tease out the difference between hunger and craving, or hunger and addiction, then you're going to lose every time. Trying to fight hunger is not good. You should not do that. But you absolutely have to fight and break the cravings for highly processed food or for inappropriate foods for you. You have to absolutely tease out, fight, and break sugar and carbohydrate addictions. Then and only then can you honor your hunger. You can be proud when you're hungry, because that means that you've done enough activity, either mentally or physically, that you've depleted your body of nutrients, and you need some more nutrients, and your body is faithfully telling you, you need more nutrition. Here's hunger. Go and fix that. You can again trust that signal once you've gotten rid of the cravings and addictions for inappropriate food. Principle number 3 is to make peace with food. Again, I agree 100% with this statement if we define the word food properly. Food is not honey buns. It's not ding dongs. It's not Doritos. It's not Pepsi or Coca-Cola. Those are pseudo frankenfoods that huge corporations have produced in a factory that artificially hit your bliss point, that make you overeat. They do this on purpose. They pay food chemists hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to hack into your hunger and to confuse it. So when we use the word food, we mean several things by this. We mean that it is a real, whole, one ingredient food that either comes from the dirt or it comes from things that have eaten what has come from the dirt. So plants and animals, those are real foods in their natural state, one ingredient, no processing. That's real food. Real food is not the highly processed crap that comes in cardboard boxes in the center of the store. It's not the highly processed frankenfood that comes in plastic bags. Those are not real foods. You can find real foods on the outer aisle of your grocery store. That's where real foods are placed. The grocery stores actually help you with this. If you ever go into the center of the store, there's no real food there to be found. Real food is always nutrient dense. So it is full of fatty acids, amino acids, vitamins, and minerals. If the food you're about to eat is very high in carbohydrates, but it has very few vitamins and minerals, that's not real food. That is frankenfood that the big food manufacturers are using to trick you. Once you've teased out the difference of what is actually real food for you, then you can make peace with your hunger, and you can make peace with the fact that when you are truly hungry, you should eat until you're comfortably stuffed. When you eliminate all of the highly processed crap from your way of eating, when you honor the definition of real food, then it becomes much easier to say no to cravings. And because you realize that cravings are either carbohydrate or sugar addiction, it becomes much easier to say no to binging, because you know if you're eating something that's not real food, then you're putting a chemically altered substance in your body to receive a reward for that. That's not eating. That's not real food, and you're not honoring your hunger when you do that. It's impossible to make peace with food if you don't use the proper definition of what food actually is. Principle number 4 is to challenge the food police. Again, I agree 100% with this if we're honest in our definition of what this means and what the underlying implication is. You're never bad for eating when you're actually hungry. You're never bad or guilty when you eat until you're comfortably stuffed, as long as you're eating real human food. So I want you to 100% reject the calorie police. If they tell you you should calorie restrict or only eat so many calories a day, that's inappropriate. Your body doesn't know what a calorie is. Your body doesn't count calories. You should honor your hunger by eating real food until you're comfortably stuffed. You should also reject and challenge the portion control police. No other mammal on the planet eats a certain size portion of any real food. All mammals on the planet, including you, should eat real food until they're comfortably stuffed, regardless of what that portion size is. Many of us have an inner voice that tries to police us. It may be your mother's voice or your father's voice. It may be that diet guru that you followed for years and years. But these voices tend to say, oh, you're eating too much. Oh, that's going over your calorie count. Anytime you hear these voices, you know that is inappropriate programming. And you need to actually go in and reprogram your brain and your body to not hear these voices to tell you to calorie restrict or portion control. If you're eating highly processed food, then you definitely need to restrict and control that. If you're eating real, whole, one ingredient food that human beings have eaten for more than 20,000 years, then you don't have to worry about calories or portion size. You get to eat that real human food until you're really comfortably stuffed. Principle number 5 is to discover the satisfaction factor. Again, I agree 100% with this. You have a set of hormones in your body that tell you when you're full, when you're stuffed, if you're eating real human food. Now, if you're eating highly processed crap from Kellogg's or General Mills or Kraft or Heinz, remember the chemical engineers have engineered that fake food to overrule your satiety, and they use the bliss point to overrule your satiety. So you keep eating carbohydrates after you've already reached satiety, but you can't tell it because they've hacked your hormone system. These hormones, if you're eating real whole human food, will tell you when you're done, and you will literally turn off your hunger when these hormones reach a certain level. That's how you discover the satisfaction factor. There is great satisfaction that you can get from eating real whole human food. There's great pleasure that comes from that. But if you're getting the false pleasure of eating something that came in a paper bag, a plastic bag, or a cardboard box, that's not real pleasure. That's a false pleasure, like taking too many drugs or drinking too much alcohol. They might give you momentary pleasure, but they're never going to give you the calm, quiet satisfaction and pleasure of eating real human food. Your body will tell you when you've eaten enough real human food, and it will also tell you it's time to stop. You can trust that signal if you've removed all the highly processed, chemical-laden food that the big corporations are trying to sell you. Principle number 6 is to feel your fullness. And I would change that a little bit and say feel your satiety. Satiety is a word that doctors and scientists use to say that your fullness or satiety hormones have reached their peak and you should stop eating at that point. When you're eating inappropriate foods or pseudo foods or fake foods, it's really hard to hear these signals. When your body's inflamed from eating lots of vegetable seed oils and lots of highly processed and refined carbohydrates, you cannot hear these signals because your system has been hacked by the chemical engineers. But when you remove all of the fake food, you can again feel your fullness and satiety. It's almost like a switch goes off and you know it's time to stop eating. So if you have problems with cravings and bingings, realize it's not your fault. You're not guilty of anything. You've just trusted large corporations who, in a perfect society, we should be able to trust them. But obviously, seeing that 88% of the U.S. population has at least one marker of metabolic syndrome, it's more common and more normal now to be overweight, obese, or morbidly obese. Even looking back 100 years ago, none of these things were true in modern society, but now they are true. We are living in a fake food environment, and we have to realize and separate fake food from real food. Then again, you can feel the signs that you're full, and you will know intuitively when it's time to stop eating. Principle number 7 is to cope with your emotions with kindness. So many of us either currently or used to eat because we were lonely, sad, anxious, bored, angry. Eating is never the appropriate answer if what you're feeling is not true hunger. If what you're feeling is an emotion or a habit, I always eat at this time of day, every time I feel this way, I eat, that's inappropriate, and that's going to lead to less than optimal health for you. You've got to cope with your emotions. And so it's very important, if in the past you were coping with your emotions by eating or drinking in some form, that's inappropriate. That's just as bad as using porn to deal with your emotions. That's just as bad and unhealthy as using alcohol or drugs to deal with your emotions. You've got to find new strategies to deal with your emotions. We all have emotions. It's perfectly normal to have anxiety or loneliness or sadness or boredom or anger. That we all have those. but you cannot use food to soothe them, because if you try to do that, you're going to wind up eating the inappropriate fake food. Food is nutrition. Food is information. Food should not help you cope with emotions. Eating inappropriate foods can give you a feeling of short-term benefit. They can distract you from the pain. They can numb you to the pain or to the negative things in your life. But eating inappropriate food never fixes those things in your life. That's your job. It may not be your fault that you have these things in your life, but it is your problem. And the definition of a problem is a problem that there is a solution to. So one by one, you've got to find the solution to these problems in your life, fix them, and don't use food to hide them or cover them up or soothe them ever again. Principle number 8, respect your body. And I would add, respect your mind. Your body is a magnificent thing that has been honed through millions of years of evolution. It's almost magical, the things that your body can do if you honor your body, and if you respect your body, and if you respect the fact that you need nutrition and that it's not a bad thing to eat real food. Hormones tell you when you're hungry. That's their job. They've been doing this for us as a species since we've been on this planet. Hormones also can tell you if you're full once you've removed all of the fake food from your way of eating. Accept your genetic blueprint. Some of us are just big boned. Some of us are thin as a rail, no matter what we do. There is a range of normal size for human bodies. We don't all look like the models in the magazines or on the Instagram accounts, and some of us will never look that way, no matter what kind of dietary or exercise shenanigans we perform. It's time to respect your body and say, okay, all of my family was big boned. I can improve my health immensely by eating a proper human diet, but I'm never going to be thin as a rail. That's never going to happen. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, if all your people are thin as a rail and you are too, you're probably never going to look like that muscled up guy on the cover of Muscle and Fitness or that jacked up girl on the Instagram accounts. And that's okay. You've got to respect your body and understand that your genetics play a part in how your body's shaped. It's okay to be the shape you are. Some people are pears, some people are apples, some people are ectomorphs, mesomorphs, endomorphs. But you can still, even with your genetically predetermined body shape, you can improve it and you can achieve optimal health. But you have to respect your body. Principle number 9, movement. Feel the difference. And this is about exercise. So exercise is very good for you in hundreds of ways, but contrary to what all the diet gurus out there on YouTube and Instagram tell you, exercise is a terrible method for weight loss. It does not work. There's pounds and pounds of research study that shows that exercise is a terrible way to lose weight. So if you're overweight, that's not what exercise is for. Exercise will help you be healthier in so many wonderful ways, but exercise should be fun. I want you to think of exercise not as I got to go to the gym and work out. I want you to think of exercise as going outside to play. Remember when you were in kindergarten and it was recess time and you were like, yes, I get to go do that thing that I really love to do? That's what exercise and movement should be to you. Do not ever look at exercise as punishment or as penance. If you messed up and ate some frankenfood and now you feel kind of guilty and bad about it, exercise is not the solution for that. You should not punish yourself with exercise. Exercise is not penance. You don't have to pay for what you ate with exercise. Exercise is something you should naturally do and naturally want to do. And as you improve your way of eating and you get rid of the false foods and the frankenfoods, guess what? You're going to feel like exercising. And when I say the word exercise, I want you to hear play, because that's how you should think about it. Principle number 10 is to honor your health, gentle nutrition. You should eat a diet. And by diet, I mean way of eating, not a short-term hack. You should eat a diet that makes your food choices honor your health, that makes your taste buds happy and leave you feeling good long-term. I'm not talking about that quick hit of goodness when you smoke some crack or drink a fifth of vodka I'm talking about the long-term, quiet, calm goodness that comes from eating a proper human food. There is pleasure in that, but it's not the false pleasure of the rapid hit and then that leaves you dropped and feeling terrible and maybe even guilty. You don't have to eat perfectly every day. Every now and then there's an anniversary or a birthday and we're going to eat some silly high carbohydrate, high sugar foods. That's okay. If that happens, you're not going to feel guilty or bad. You're going to forgive yourself. And the very next meal, when you feel hungry again, because you're going to listen to your body and respect it, then you're going to eat real human food. And you're going to act like that temporary indiscretion never happened. Always remember that perfection is not the goal. Perfection is never the goal. Progress, that's the goal. If you currently have a very high hemoglobin A1C, then your goal is to improve it. Even if you improve it 1/10 of a point, that's a victory and that's a goal, and you reached your goal. Now you can set a new goal. You definitely cannot be healthy at every size, but you can be improving your health at every size. Again, let me emphasize that I believe these 10 principles of intuitive eating are very valid and very useful and very meaningful if we define food properly. It has to be something that's ancestrally appropriate, that we've eaten for tens of thousands of years. It has to be nutrient dense. It has to be a one ingredient whole food that either grew in the ground or comes from something that ate what grew in the ground. Real food never comes from a factory. Real food never comes in a cardboard box in a plastic wrapper. Now, if I've said anything in this video that you disagree with or that you think I could have said better, I really want your feedback in the comments. It helps me make better videos in the future. If you know someone who has currently a bad relationship with food or with frankenfood, please consider sharing this video with them. It might literally be the thing that turns their life around. If you'd like to ask me specific questions about your current way of eating or your current health or medicine or nutrition or your medicines, but consider becoming a patron on patreon.com. There's a link down below. It's a super quick sign up. And for $1 a month, you can get access to our private, protected Patreon community and let us all help you improve your overall health. This is Dr. Barry. I'll see you next time.